Wallace from the pocket. What a star this young man is!
Arms run straight into Holmes, who strips him of the football. Guthrie from the angle. Oh, my!
For the greatest victory in Gold Coast history, he kicks straight!
Hello, I'm Damian Barrett. Welcome to Access All Areas. We are here, as always, thanks to Crypto.com. Some big clubs missed some very big opportunities in round 17. Matthew Lloyd?
They did, Damo. The Richmond one, that will give them nightmares at Punt Road for many weeks to come. That was a horror loss, up by 40 points. That was a shocker. They're in 8th spot. The 9th side, St Kilda, they capitulated against the Fremantle Dockers, and the Western Bulldogs, their season looks in tatters with the way they played against the Swans.
I'll add the Brisbane Lions to the teams that failed to seize an opportunity. We'll get to them in a moment. We'll start, though, Lordo, with a team that took the opportunity they were presented with, that being Carlton against West Coast. They set it up early. They weathered about an hour of really good footy from West Coast, but ultimately pulled away again and won by 63 points.
Oh, to be up 34-0 at quarter time on the road off the back of a bad loss to St Kilda the week before. That's what good sides do, and I love what they're doing this year because I don't think they're a premiership side, but I just love the improvement under a first-year coach in Michael Voss. They know what their game plan is. 70-34 inside 50s it was yesterday. So it was an absolute mauling of a side who'd improved over recent weeks in the West Coast Eagles.
And why wouldn't you want to get it inside that forward 50 zone, Lordo, when you've got guys like Charlie Curnow and Harry Mackay up there? Now, the collective weight and might of this duo is emerging as one of the great storylines of this season, given the unknown about Curnow coming into it.
The hardest marks to take are those inside 50, and they're at that 6th per game, 4 contested marks. You can't hold both of them down in a game. It's pretty difficult. And you look at the vision from yesterday, they kicked 10 goals, 6 between them. It was 18-6 marks inside 50. And then they've got those smalls at the feet. You know, Jack Silvani's brilliant as a number 3. And then the Durden and these types, Motlop, they laid 14 tackles inside 50, the Eagles 5. So they're 2 guys at the top of their peak of their powers, those 2.
50 goals specifically to Curnow and 36 with injury factored in for Mackay. Are they as good as Hawkins and Cameron when it comes to the crunch? Because we're going to get to see this in the next game on Saturday night, 7:20, MCG, Carlton versus Geelong. I reckon the Blues are up to their eyeballs in a chance in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they've got the midfield power to do it. Are they as good? Where they're at is they're at the perfect age bracket to be dominant for the next 7 or 8 years, but you put Hawkins and Cameron in front of them for what they've done over the journey. There's
going to be a couple of deconings on either side of the equation in that game. I'm looking forward to that one as much as any game, I think, this year.
Yeah, I think the Geelong deconing has changed the whole dynamics of this team, and the Carlton version, well, he's just getting better and better as well.
Yep. Essendon has continued its reasonably good form, and I say that, Lord, reasonably good form because they're dead matches effectively. The season was over some time ago. They're playing well. They did, though, take their opportunity against Brisbane. Now, Brisbane had 9 players unavailable for either injury or health and safety protocols. That was a reason, but not the ultimate reason they lost. They had a chance, the Lions, and they didn't take it.
They did. I've been hard on Ben Rutten, but what he did do is shut down Lachie Neale, and this is the first time they've done that. They don't often tag players, but they did. Look at this. Previous 3 games for Essendon, he's averaged 37 disposals, 2 goals per game and 6 inside 50s. Jai Caldwell was the man yesterday. 21 disposals, no goals, 1 inside 50. A real issue for Brisbane. You shut down Lachie Neale, I reckon you're halfway home to beating them. That's how much they rely on him. Caldwell was magnificent.
So you can see here in this, what we're about to show you, him getting his hands on the ball in the middle of the ground, which he does so well, Lachie Neale. But there is unusual pressure for him, isn't there, through Caldwell, with what he did. And he was able to be creative himself, Lotto. I think that's the key to a run with Rull, isn't it? To still set up your own team the way he did there with that kick in for Wright. And have a look at the scores here. Brisbane was coming back. They were mounting this challenge, and he then did what Lachie Neale did to so many players throughout the last 3 seasons, and burst away and kicked the crucial goal himself.
Neale's not even in the picture, so that's what a lot of these gun midfielders don't defend too well, and that's what Caldwell did yesterday. Jai Caldwell's had 26 touches. Neale's had 21, so you're spot on. The days of just being the negator are over. You can try and hurt the opposition, which Caldwell did so well yesterday.
I don't think anyone's used the ball better than Merritt yesterday for the Bombers. They may be equal in 2022 with ball use, but he was sublime with some of his disposal.
He's their best player. He's maligned at times. He hasn't kicked enough goals, and that's his next step. Can he kick more goals? But you don't need to kick goals when you're putting it on a platter.
Look
like
at the
this.
weight on this kick, just to
you can see
to get it across.
You talk about clubs. He's got every club in the kit there. Jack Merritt with the way he can kick to players, and you love being a forward leading to Merritt. He'll win another best and fairest.
You've been worried about the Lions for some time, and tension is rising, Lordo. They've fallen down the ladder. They're now equal, with 3 other teams in that bottom of the top 4 position. And there was a moment of tension between the coach and a journalist post-match last night. There's tension brewing behind the scenes. They've got a lot of pressure on them to actually do something significant this year, given they've fallen short the last 3.
Yeah, I think other teams are getting better, and to me, they're just plateaued. I just don't see where they're at. Where's Danaher at? He's not playing great football. The reliance on Lachie Neale with a sort of a workman-like type midfield. Lose Harris Andrews yesterday. Peter Wright just looked dominant. So, they've got concerns. But where's the tension rising that this needs to be a premiership year and they're struggling?
They don't like it when I think media and other people do refer to the fact that they've lost 5 of the 6 finals they've played in the past 3 seasons. But it's just what it is. I mean, until they actually progress through to a grand final, I mean, we are going to raise that finals record. And now they're going to make it difficult for themselves. I mean, they're a chance to miss the top 4 on the back of that loss yesterday. And again, let's factor in the injuries and the unavailability. There were 9 key movers, really, when it's all said and done. But ultimately, McCaig misses a goal late, McInerney misses a goal late, Neale nearly got one late, but just one of those goals probably would have sealed it for them.
Yeah, the alarm bells have been ringing since that Melbourne performance at the MCG. Big stage, and they just crumbled.
Yep. Talked about ball use out of round 17. Mitch Lewis might be vying Zach Merritt for perfection almost, Lordo, when it comes to kicking the conveyance.
Well, you look for green shoots, and that's been the criticism of North Melbourne up until Saturday's game, where they put in a great performance. But you just want to see something when you're a young team developing. And Sam Mitchell, what I love about Sam is he hasn't been too fazed by losses because he's seen some players like this. Mitch Lewis, he's now 9th in the Coleman medal, Mitch Lewis, with 30-plus goals.
And he's missed 4 games.
Yeah, he just does not miss, and he's looking really strong with his marks as well.
He's actually leading the goals per game race. He's 3.1 ahead of Curnow, who's 3 exactly. So a lot to like with what he's
Their issue, Damo, is finding a class midfielder. So they did draft Josh Ward last year, who could be that, Connor McDonald. So that's the area. They've got Newcombe, Mitchell, O'Meara, Shields, too many similar types. Finding that class midfielder the key for them. Similar
to Brisbane was Richmond's plight in round 17. Had a lot of players and quality players unavailable for various reasons, Lotto. But again, when you concede the last 4 goals of the game, that's the problem, not so much the unavailability. And that happened against the Suns, which was a great game and one that allows the Suns to dream pretty big.
I'll never forget a Paul Roos piece of commentary when Carmichael Hunt kicked that goal, and he said it's the worst 4 minutes of football I've seen from a team. And this wasn't far off being the worst 4 minutes of football. Look at the scoreboard. They were 17 points up.
What's Jack doing there?
4 minutes ago. You just don't do that, Jack. That was trying to be a showman. Party time. This is out the back. Who was going to fist it?
How's a 7-foot guy fall out the back?
Too many went out for that grab. This one, Grimes, it's slippery ball. He drops it. But, they just got so many things wrong. The Jaden Short one was unforgivable, that 50-metre penalty he gave away. This one, can it be brought to ground?
Yeah.
Get it to ground, outmarked, falls over.
And then we don't get to see it because they cut away for some reason, but Anderson's free. To take the kick and then kick the now famous goal in the 2022 season after the siren to win the game.
So we've got a stat here. They've given away 36 50-metre penalties this season, Richmond. The next is the Eagles at 22.
Right.
So they're an undisciplined football side, and Hardwick's spoken about it for a while, and they just don't learn. Whether you've won premierships and other teams are nipping at your heels, you get frustrated and give frees away. I'm not sure what it is with Richmond, but it hurts them week after week.
Had a 3-goal lead against Geelong only recently, and also a 5-plus goal lead against the Swans about 6 weeks ago, which they'd given up. So it's costing them, isn't it?
I love watching them play, the brand of football, but they concede big scores playing that way as well.
I'll start that again. The brave play of the week for Crypto.com this week goes to Charlie Ballard, Lauder. Now, this is what everyone's talking about, this smother on Jason Castagna. I don't know how he came from nowhere to do that. That's one part of the brave play of the week, but it was this mark only moments later, which was equally as crucial. You can still see the scores.
One of the big improvers. That smother, that will be showed on Stewie Dew's meeting all morning this morning. That was game over. If he doesn't smother that ball, I'm not sure why Jason Castagna didn't give that ball over the top either.
Just has to get it up.
Give it up, and it's game over.
They're only one game out of the 8 now, Lordo. There's 6 games remaining. There's a lot of footy left for them to still create something pretty special.
And they come to Marvel, the Suns, to play Essendon this week, so that's that ball game that they have to win. They should win if they're going to play finals footy.
Yep. Let's see where they are on the form ladder. This is from the last 6 weeks of the season. What are rounds 11 to 17? And you can see them quite prominently on that ladder. The ladder leader overall is the ladder leader in this form ladder as well. But there's some interesting placements on that screen, and even more so on the next screen we're about to see.
Well, we wanted to highlight this because Melbourne is not in the top 8 for form ladder. Look where Melbourne are. They are down at 2 and 4 losses. That's why, and at a percentage of 97, that's why the alarm bells are ringing for me about Melbourne, that if the finals were to start this weekend, they cannot win a premiership. They are not playing good footy, and we want to highlight the area again where they just blast the footy forward. They have no midfield forward line cohesion whatsoever. That kick from Oliver is what they did 3 years ago. They're going back to some bad habits, like no care. You know, Geelong always have a player back behind the ball.
Look at the man that marked both those balls, Sam De Koning, just reading everything beautifully.
Another hack kick. What is that? That is the way Melbourne are playing their footy, and their midfield and their backline is working hard. They're not getting the response, and this is Geelong.
The contrast.
They are in total control of their game at the moment, and I'm not copying people who say, but look where they played the game. They are a team that's got a great record at the MCG this year as well. They beat Richmond there a few weeks ago. They play Carlton there on Saturday night. They are a team in going places and in good form, yet Melbourne are not.
And all that happened without probably the best defender in the entire competition, Tom Stewart.
Tom Stewart as well, yeah. So, no, they're in good... And Melbourne had a lot of 34 from Viney, Oliver, big numbers. So their midfield's getting big numbers. Gawn will get better. But I think they could seriously miss top 2 spot, and this is the race for
miss
for
top
that spot.
2. That's where they sit right now, hanging on to second spot. So you're saying they could actually miss it. The reigning premier could miss top.
We've got Geelong making it, and it's about who can get the second spot from them. And I think Fremantle, I know they lost the week before and we have short memories, but I think Fremantle are in better form. Their draw isn't too bad, Melbourne in the run home, but they'd want to beat Port Adelaide in it's a 50-50 game in Darwin this week. That's season-defining. Yeah.
Well, they seem to have found and bedded down the way to use Nat Fyfe. 4 games back from his long absence from injury. He looked at home again for the first time this season anyway on an AFL venue, Lordo, just the way he played the role. Now, didn't go in for a centre clearance in the first half, did so in the second half, but made an impact on this game by kicking goals and taking marks close to goal.
He's had to become part of Fremantle, not Fremantle, and that's what he had been over previous times. And while he had success, there wasn't any team success. And it's Brayshaw and Sarong's team now, and Brodie to a lesser extent. And I loved his game. 21 disposals, 3 goals, 1. He's only had 1 clearance in the last 2 weeks. So 1 against Port, and 1 on the weekend. So his role's changed, and it's a better role for him.
So what we saw against the Saints is what we need to see now, in your eyes?
Yeah, I think the third forward, Lobb, Taberner, Fyfe, I think that's the...
And go in when needed.
And go in when needed. And I think that's how they can win a premiership. Some will say, can you win a premiership with Lobb and Taberner? You'd probably say no. Fyfe is number 3. I think that's a big tick.
So they're a live premiership chance.
Yeah, I think they are, yeah.
The Saints were disappointing again in a week in which they had recommitted for a further 2 seasons to Brett Ratton. Look, these disposal issues, Lordo, were what was at play when he took the club over in an interim capacity, it must be said, in 2019.
August 2019, Brett Ratton coached as the caretaker, and he said, whoever gets this job coaching St Kilda have got a job to do, and that's fix the skill level of St Kilda. But what we saw the other night wasn't good, and they continually shoot themselves in the foot. And it drains you. It wears you down, and they end up capitulating in that last quarter because they continually turn the footy.
And now they're going to have to be seen to respond yet again. And that game next up for them is against the Bulldogs, who you've already criticised there. So, again, season's on the verge, isn't it, for them?
Oh, it'll be great. Friday night footy, big stage, St Kilda Bulldogs, loser, season over.
Yep. Collingwood without Darcy Moore, it's a worry. We don't know how long he is going to be out with that knee problem he's got. But Jeremy Howe, Braden Maynard, they struggled. And it's understandable that they did against a quality player in Larkey there, Nick Larkey for North Melbourne, who, like Mitch Lewis at the Hawks, if he played for a better team, I think we'd be talking about him a whole lot more.
Yeah, it just made me want to highlight here at Access All Areas what a fine line your season is, because if Darcy Moore, this had been a season-ending injury, it's only a week or 2, they'd be in big trouble. I was there at the MCG, and Nathan Murphy, Jeremy Howe could not handle Nick Larkey, whereas Darcy Moore's there. It's a different story. Likewise, Harris Andrews goes out for Brisbane. They couldn't handle Peter Wright yesterday. So injuries in this latter part of the season can make or break your season.
Yep. The Dogs, Lord, you've been critical of them pretty much most of the season, it must be said. You've been reading their demise very, very accurately. And against the Swans in round 17, just got blown away in the first quarter when everything was at stake.
You're spot on. You know, season on the line. If they lose, they go with results was going to be two games out of the 8. And I want to put it on Tim English. I know it was his first game back, but he was non-competitive early on as a ruckman. And then their midfield group, it's star-studded, but it was just smashed, obliterated here by the Sydney. That's English. He's on read, inside 50 entry. I felt sorry for the back line, to be honest, with what was going on. And they were just overwhelmed and got coughed up. 15 scoring shots in a first quarter, game over. That was a really poor performance, damning.
Yeah. The words that were expressed by coach Luke Beveridge post-match spoke about the future as much as the now. The now, though, strangely enough, has them only one game outside the 8.
He's got to fix up his defence, so their team defence is an absolute dog's breakfast. It's a mess. And I just wonder about his coaching staff. He lost Ashley Hansen and Stephen King. King's gone to the Gold Coast, and Ash Hansen at Carlton, both having good seasons. I wonder if he has to look at who's supporting him as well this year, and if they aren't as strong a coaching group as they were last year.
It has been a significant fall from a grand final from last year, no matter what's happening in the future to this point. Anyway.
Huge. Yeah. They're just about the most disappointing side of the season.
Yeah. Well, Lordo, thanks as always for your time on Access All Areas. Stay with afl.com.au and the AFL Live app for all your footy news, and we'll be back this time next week for another edition of Access All Areas.